Hello and welcome our beloved viewers to RTD's News English edition. As usual, we'll begin tonight's news with the major and top highlights. Let's follow. The President of the Republic inaugurates the Regional Academy of Somali Language Academy in Mogadishu. The first meeting of the Interministerial Committee on the National Disability Strategy took place today. And on the international scene, South Sudan to send 750 troops to Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Those were the major and top highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, went to the parliament composed of the National Assembly of Somalia and the Senate. On his arrival, the President of the Republic was welcomed by the President of the National Assembly and the Senate. During these interventions, the speakers have put to profit the excellence of the relations between the Djiboutian people and the people to reiterate to the Djiboutian president their determination to always work in order to promote the relations and the cooperation between Djibouti and Somalia. During this congresses, all the representatives of the National Assembly and the Chamber of the Senate came massively to welcome the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh. The various deputies and senators who delivered speeches recalling that Somalia will not cease to appeal systematically to the wise counsel of the Republic of Djibouti to find judicious inspiration in the resolution of major challenges on its agenda, said the head of state of Somalia in the same speech. It is important to recall that the visit of the President of the Republic comes within the framework of strengthening indelible ties that exist between the two nations, which is the origin of the high level of solidarity and sharing between the two peoples and the two brotherly countries. The Somali parliament has a natural vocation to play a leading role in the current process of disabling the Al-Shabaab terrorists, President Guelleh said. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, made this statement today morning in an address to the members of the Somali President National Assembly and Congress. The embodiment of a leading role in the fight for dignity and against the dictators of the Shabab is all the more incumbent on the parliament today, as it must serve as a megaphone for the general assistance of the brotherly Somali people, who are increasingly determined to overcome terrorism, the head of state noted. He described the power of issuing laws and oversight given to parliament as mechanisms to fight terrorism. By putting in place appropriate and forward-looking legislation, the Somali parliament has a full role to play in countering the stay of foreigners in the country who are breeding terrorism, he said. The embodiment of this pivotal role is all the more necessary for the parliament, as the time has now come for them to accompany the favor of the friendly Somali people, organizing more and more in all regions of the country alongside their armed forces and security in the fight against terrorism, he continued. The Republic of Djibouti welcomes the continued success of the offensives against the Al-Shabaab terrorists, said President Ismail Omar Guelleh in his statement. Our country is naturally a partner of Somalia in the current process of intensifying the fight against terrorists, he added. It is leading this fight, among others, through the tactical refocusing assigned to its contingent within the African Transitional Mission in Somalia, which is called to subscribe to a more offensive posture in a format complementary to the increased fighting on the ground by Somali forces against the terrorists of Al-Shabaab, he noted. As for the loss of land and influence to which the Al-Shabaab terrorists are prey lately, it is a perfect illustration that they were in no way invisible, he concluded. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, inaugurated this morning in Mogadishu, capital of Somalia, the Regional Academy of the Somali Language. On his arrival at the Regional Academy of the Somali Language, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, was welcomed by his counterpart, the President of Somalia, Mr. Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud, and a strong ministerial delegation of the two respective countries. Then the two head of state cut the ribbon before proceeding to visit the various premises of the academy, including rooms for meetings and conferences, rooms for workshops, and the library that includes all books and works for the promotion of the Somali language. Initiated and financed by the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, this brand new facility aims to work for the protection and promotion of the Somali language. A strong ministerial delegation from Somalia and Djibouti were present at this event, which saw the participation of a large population that came to thank the head of state for the songs, poems, testimonies of experts and seekers of the Somali language came in large numbers to attend the inauguration. Besides the member of the government of two countries, ministers of Kenya as well as the president of the Somali regions also attended the inauguration ceremony of this academy. This academy will contribute significantly to the reorganization of the Somali language archives and textbooks, support the effort of researchers and writers to safeguard and write dictionaries and books in the Somali language, and also to establish a general reference of terminologies in different sectors. Following the official inauguration of the Regional Academy for the Somali Language, the two head of states and the delegations participating in the opening ceremony of the academy attended an event dedicated to commemorating this occasion. This occasion was revisualized with folk dances and songs that embody the importance of this cultural evidence, which is meant to promote and develop the Somali language. Let's follow.
Somalida maalintii siyaasadda lagu fashilay saluguna kala dhaxgalay safiya safka laysu dilay Somalida maalintii siyaasadda lagu fashilay saluguna kala dhaxgalay safiya safka laysu dilay dunida laba kala saljira sooyaalka iskama naxaanin dunida laba kala saljira sooyaalka iskama naxaanin jabuutaay sidan ogayn so iyo seed iyo jir iyo saan iyo hilib iigu yaalba khilaafkeeni saxdee
Go!
Somali President Mr. Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud delivered a speech on the occasion of the inauguration of the Regional Academy of Somali Language in Mogadishu. He welcomed the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Omar Gelle, calling him a wise man for the Somali community. The visit of the President of the Republic of Djibouti is of particular importance for us. For 32 years, President Gelle has spared no effort to consolidate security and peace in Somalia, said the Somali head of state during the inauguration of the Somali Language Academy. In this regard, the Somali president stressed that the efforts made by the Djiboutians reflect the extent of the brotherhood existing between the two brotherly people, which is embodied in the sharing of joys and sorrows with the Somalis. Language, as is known, is a pillar of national identity. It also forms the container in which culture, wisdom, and history of illiteracy are stored and preserved. In addition to being a means of understanding between people, said President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud, he pointed out that the Somali language is one of the spoken languages of the Horn of Africa, and that it was first written down in 1972. In his speech, President Hassan Sheikh reviewed the challenges that have prevented the writing of the Somali language and the tireless efforts that have been made in this regard. He added the revolutionary government that took over the country in 1969 succeeded in achieving this goal, referring to the writing of the Somali letter. The Somali president stressed that the time has come to revive the Somali language, despite the difficult conditions faced by the country of the origin of this language. Regarding the academy, Mr. Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud said that it is a regional academy and that is door to open to all Somali language specialists to submit their various researches and reports that would contribute to the advancements of the language and prevent its extinction. For his part, the President of the Republic expressed his thanks and gratitude to the President of Somalia and his people for the warm welcome that he and his accompanying delegation received. Although I am in my city, the friendly feeling that my brothers have shown me since our arrival has once again confirmed the love and affection that I enjoy in Somalia, confirmed the President. The President of the Republic noted that this visit comes at an invitation he received by the Somali counterpart who recently visited Djibouti. President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud and I met in Washington and Saudi Arabia. Every time there is contact between us, we work together to get our two countries out of the cycle of poverty, strengthen the bonds of brotherhood, liberate the Somali, and put him back in his place on the international scene. Noted the President of the Republic, the head of state deemed unacceptable the state of security instability to which the Somali people are exposed, saying we cannot tolerate this situation and lag behind others and be a closed country where nowhere comes and its residents go abroad. Speaking about the recent developments on the Somali scene, the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Omar Gelle, said that the results observed in the initial indicators are very good and positive. He added that it seems that everyone has assumed the responsibility assigned to them to achieve security and stability because it saves the personal life. On the other hand, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Gelle, referred to the history of the establishment and implementation of the Regional Academy of Somali Language, which was inaugurated today in Mogadishu. He pointed out that the late Dr. Muhammad Tahir Afrah made strenuous efforts to establish this important building concerned with the development of the Somali language. Steps to establish this academy, and we in turn supported him and gave him the necessary support, said the head of state. President Gelle noted that the initiative to establish this academy came after he felt the urgent need to unite the speakers of the Somali language living in different countries in terms of thought and craft. President Ismail Omar Gelle affirmed the need to take care of this language in order to achieve the decisive goals, stressing that this requires its preservation, funding, and development. On the basis of all this, it is necessary to find a specialized academy to prevent the extension of the Somali language, like many languages, threatened with extension. As pointed out by President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud, recalled the head of state. The President of the Republic also said that this academy is still at the beginning of its journey, calling on the Somali people to support it from their position, whether they are singers, authors, or religious. To date, we have written 3 dictionaries of the Somali language, but they need to be developed every year to keep up with the developments in various fields, concluded the President. The Ministry of Interior communicates that the day of Sunday, January 1st, corresponding to the first day of the new year of the Gregorian calendar, will be a holiday, non-working and paid. Wishes of happiness in the Republic of Djibouti. The Prime Minister and Head of Government, by interim Mr. Abdul Qadir Mohammed Kamil, presided this morning the first meeting of the Interministerial Committee in charge of the execution, the follow-up and the evolution of the national strategy of the handicap of the period 2021-2025, which took place at the People's Palace. This first meeting of the Interministerial Committee comes almost a month after the celebration of the end of the activities of the National Week of Disability. Interministerial Committee has for objective to discuss the ways and means to undertake to fulfill the mission assigned to the Interministerial Committee. During the first day of meeting, it was question of proposing global strategic orientations on the best way to integrate disability dimension in the state's public policies and implement the national strategy of disability. In addition to the Prime Minister, the meeting was honored by the effective participation of the members of the committee in the presence of the responsible of the MPH, during the General Director, Mr. Douali Saeed Mahmoud. During this projection session, the Director of Studies and Strategy of the AMPH, Rafu Mahmoud, to give expert details about the objective to be achieved. Created by a presidential decree on April 19, the Interministerial Committee in charge of the execution, monitoring, and evolution of the National Disability Strategy for the period of 2021 to 2025 includes the Prime Minister, the Government's Secretary General, and 13 government members. For his part, the Prime Minister and the Head of Government by interim, Mr. Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, stated in his speech that recommendations of good practices contribute to achieving the necessary development, provide clear and immediate responses to the implementation of the national strategy for persons with disabilities. As part of the working visit to Djibouti, Mrs. Ilhan Omar, a U.S. representative for the 5th Congressional District of Minnesota, visited yesterday afternoon at the nursery, Darrell. In addition to the Honorable Congresswoman, Mrs. Safia Elmi, and Mrs. Umma, the Congresswoman for the 5th District Mayor, her guided visit with the Director of the Center, Mrs. Fardousa. Ilhan Omar was able to see the modern structures entirely dedicated to the cause of children. The Darrell Center takes in vulnerable children, protects them, and helps them to go through the dedicated period of early childhood. Equipped with qualified personnel and adequate technical means, this structure ensures a better care of vulnerable children and has a good reception capacity. It is to recall that this center, integrated by the First Lady, welcomes children abandoned by their parents from birth and provides a place where they can be pampered and protected. The meeting room of SOS Village hosted this morning a signing ceremony of a tripartite agreement of financing of microcredits, which will involve SOS Children's Village in Djibouti, the Popular Villages in Djibouti, the Popular Savings and Credit Bank, and the Ministry of Women and Family. The ceremony was attended by the National Director of SOS Children's Village in Djibouti, and the objective of this agreement is to ensure a better organization of the microcredits that will be granted to 100 families benefiting from this project. SOS Village is committed to deposit the necessary amount that will be distributed to the families in stressful situations in the community of Balbala. For its part, CEPEC, thanks to its expertise in this field, will be in charge of granting these microcredits and will ensure the follow-up and the progress, sustainability of the project. In his presentation, the Director of the Family Training Program demonstrated that such a partnership is only beneficial to all stakeholders of this project. As part of the fight against the insalubrity of the city, the Mayor's Office of Djibouti continues the operation of collection of wrecks of cars in the major arteries of the capital. Mr. Saeed Dawood and his team continues to crisscross the town of Bel'os. Today it was the town of Avenue 26 in Gela Denda Salin West. Lunch last Saturday by the Mayor of the capital, Mr. Saeed Dawood Mohammed. This large-scale operation has mobilized presidents of municipalities, sub-prefectures, parliamentarians, local elected officials, members of neighborhood councils, representatives of associations, and women leaders from civil society. The mayor of the capital was keen to point out that this campaign is part of the Zero Waste project initiated by his department, in which constitutes in fighting against the insalubrity of the city. It also aims to raise awareness of the population to preserve cleanliness in all public places in the capital. It was decided to launch this campaign to show the population that the city Hall has taken the initiative to remove all the wrecks of cars abandoned in places frequented by the population, said the mayor of the capital. It should be noted that since the launch of this operation, many wrecks have been cleared from the public highway. The different teams mobilized by the city hall have cleaned more than 100 wrecks of abandoned cars in the commune of Bal'os and in the commune of Balbala. On the 27th of this month, Djibouti Coast Guard maritime surveillance patrol teams assisted on overloaded galley boats carrying illegal migrants, which were in danger of sinking. It has taken on board 167 illegal migrants of Vietnamese origin on a single overboarded boat. This intervention of the Djibouti Coast Guard teams presented a tragedy and saved the lives of the migrants, who were then escorted safely to Djibouti, where they received humanitarian assistance and water and food before being handed over to the authorities. 3 smugglers of the Yemeni origin were arrested and handed over to the Djibouti Coast Guard's Research, Investigation and Judicial Affairs Brigade to be brought to justice. Shifting gears towards the international scene now, South Sudan will send 750 troops to Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo as part of a regional force to fight rebels. A South Sudanese army spokesman announced yesterday, after 6 months of training, hundreds of soldiers are ready to be deployed to Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo to join a regional force fighting a rebel offensive. They will leave for the Democratic Republic of Congo as soon as possible. Major Louis Rui-Kong said at a ceremony in the capital Juba, adding that the men have been training for more than 6 months for this mission. Well, by this, our blood viewers, we finally conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us and make sure to tune in later for more. Wish you a peaceful weekend. Take care.